Ronnie and Charlotte are her sons, Mamiana. She's Mamiana. Make them both tap, disarm Miana. And win the title at Wrestlemania. Give me my Grammy 2020. I'm coming. Grammy 2020. If Cardi B can do it, because even though Invasion of Privacy was great, if Cardi can do it, I can win that Grammy too. I want it.
So what's going on, everybody? This is episode 107. We're on the Fastlane to Wrestlemania. I am Jay the Creative.
Angie Durag has returned.
Angie Durag.
And if you enter the code Durag,
you get 20
Duragiana.com. No, I'm sorry.
Duragiana.
If you enter the code Beckiana at Durags Are Us, you get 3 free Durags, and you also get to experience the love of God.
Yo, I hate you. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about. This episode.
Yo, why am I like this?
Yo.
I'm tired, that's why, y'all.
But we have a lot to talk about this episode, starting with this past week. I believe it was on Thursday, actually. WWE has announced that WrestleMania 36 is going to be taking place in Tampa Bay, Florida, April 5th, 2020 at Ray Jones Stadium, is it?
Raymond James.
Raymond James Stadium. So that's going to be where WrestleMania is at.
What do you think about that?
Here's the thing. I've never been to Tampa, so I don't know if Tampa is a WrestleMania city or a destination city, I should say. So it's going to be very, very interesting. What I will say is that WWE is going to take over that city.
Of course, they take over every city.
They take over every city. If they could take over New York City, they can take over every city. My whole thing is more so, are there other things to do in Tampa Bay besides wrestling? Like, what are the mainstay attractions? Because I feel like every WrestleMania city is a destination city. New York. Where else has there been a WrestleMania? Chicago.
Orlando's like the best one because you have like 80 theme parks in Orlando.
Literally. So there is a lot of things to do in Orlando. Where else was there? There was one in Texas, I believe Dallas, yeah.
Dallas and Houston.
They both were WrestleMania cities. So both of those are destination cities.
Santa Clara.
Yeah. So I mean, like I feel like every WrestleMania city is a destination city, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see how everything kind of shapes up.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I kind of feel like this is kind of weird because it's their third time being in Florida within the last 10 years.
Very true.
They're in Florida for WrestleMania 24. They were that was Orlando. They were in Miami for WrestleMania 28. Cena Rock the first time, yeah. Whatever. They were in Orlando again for WrestleMania 33. And or WrestleMania Sun because they stopped doing numbers.
WrestleMania.
So yeah, and so I mean, here's the thing: like when you really think about going somewhere for WrestleMania, I'm not like when I went to Orlando for WrestleMania, I wasn't thinking about going to Disney World,
right?
Because I was there for WrestleMania,
right? And I feel like that's kind of every wrestling person. Like I feel like every wrestling fan that goes to WrestleMania is more concerned about the content and the context behind WrestleMania than it is like the destination attractions and stuff like that. Like if there's like New Orleans was perfect,
exactly.
But I feel like people just came because it was WrestleMania, not because it was New Orleans.
And exactly. And then you also have smaller promotions that come to New Orleans, that come to those cities like New Orleans and New York that run their own shows to take advantage of its WrestleMania season.
Right.
So you have more than enough stuff to do wrestling wise.
Absolutely.
Now, I mean, I'm pretty sure Tampa has good places to eat. Tampa is I think it's right. I don't think it's too far from the beach.
It should be.
I looked at the map and whatnot, and it wasn't too far from the beach.
Right.
But, my only issue with Tampa is that Raymond James Stadium is like over here, and then the city is over here. So it's like a good maybe 20, 30-minute drive.
Very true.
It looks like it.
I feel like they're going to provide... I don't take my word on this. They may provide travel options, and I feel like the city themselves are gonna provide travel opportunities to get from the city to the stadium. Because I mean, like every city that WrestleMania goes to, they're gonna make a financial impact. So whatever they spend on travel options, they're gonna make it back times 20.
Didn't they say it was like I feel like Stephanie said, don't quote me, I think she said at the press conference yesterday it was like $100 million in New Orleans.
Yeah, I think I remember we read that stat off. I think it was like $175 million.
$175 million in New Orleans just off of the 5 events that they run, which is NXT TakeOver, Hall of Fame, WrestleMania, Raw, and SmackDown. On top, 6, because then you got Access as well.
Yeah.
And then hotel, flight, all that stuff, because people are flying there for
WrestleMania, right?
This event. So yeah, I mean, I guess time will tell. Tampa is definitely a wrestling city because
Absolutely.
that is where NXT really started. That's FCW, which turned into NXT,
right?
And that's where a lot of these guys, Sasha Banks, Bayley, all of the
and pretty much everybody, they live there.
Natty lives in Tampa. You know, you have so many people like Sheamus and The Shield and people who started their careers in FCW, which was in Tampa. So I feel like in a lot of ways next year is probably going to be a homecoming for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But
I also feel like it's going to be very, very cost efficient. Because flying into Tampa, paying for things in Tampa is generally going to be less expensive than going to a New York, Chicago, LA.
Right, and then most of them live in not most of them, because I know like people like Miz and Bayley, they live in like Texas, and I know Becky lives in LA, but I believe so. But you have a good handful of them that live up the block in Orlando.
Yeah, literally.
Which is like a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
Which is why,
but compensating for somebody for a drive is way less expensive than flying them out.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, with all that considered, what do you think about the pirate logo?
I actually really like it, considering that it goes in line with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you think of Tampa, any sports fan that's involved in Tampa, they are very, very conscious of that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays are kind of like the only 2 sports teams they have.
Yeah.
So, considering that football is bigger than baseball, at least the stadium is, it's kind of smart to kind of go off that pirate theme.
Right.
And I feel like it will remind somebody of Tampa. You know what I mean? I think that doing the sun would be too reminiscent of Orlando or Miami. All I know is that Kairi Sane better be in next year's WrestleMania, because it don't make no damn sense to put a pirate logo and not have my sis involved.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The logo, like, it'll have to grow on me, because I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, WrestleMania, a Thief's End. Or WrestleMania of the Caribbean, like I just
WrestleMania of the Caribbean.
I mean, it's cool. It goes with the city. I mean, this year we have WrestleMania Crown.
WrestleMania Statue of Liberty.
Or, it's
which, by the way, I'm definitely getting one of them shirts. Like 100%.
I want one too. But I want one with the full card.
Yeah.
That has like the full card on it, or like the poster with the full card in the back. I want it. And Orlando, you have WrestleMania Sun, and Dallas, you had WrestleMania Star. And last year you had WrestleMania, the New Orleans thingy, because I don't know what it's called.
I want to say like Crescent or something.
Isn't it like a tri?
I don't even know.
I'm literally going to find it now because it's going to bother me.
But so while we're finding that, we're going to go into the next topic, because this past week WWE officially reported that Tommaso Ciampa has been injured. He had to undergo neck surgery. Highly recommend you go on the WWE NXT Instagram page to see the full details of that. But one can speculate that this means that Ciampa has to vacate the title and that he may not be competing at TakeOver New York, which is a huge loss. But first and foremost, I want to pray for a speedy recovery of Tommaso Ciampa, and I hope to see him well and healthy first, and 2, as a wrestling fan, returning soon to the ring. We'd love to see him come back at next year's WrestleMania, but that's for a whole different story for a whole different time. But how do you think that this affects TakeOver as a show?
I don't know how to pronounce that. So
I don't know
it's
either.
The WrestleMania thingy. Anyway, so we had an injury TakeOver Brooklyn. Aleister Black.
Right.
Which means we got a one-on-one match between Johnny and Tommaso, which, definitely didn't really change their plan. Like, they worked their way into it. Mm-hmm. They worked something out, Honestly, I feel like there's no way Tommaso doesn't come back as a babyface now. Mm-hmm. As far as I'm concerned, however, it kind of does affect it because I felt like it was weird because it's like, okay, you called up Johnny and Tommaso to the main roster, but then, all signs were pretty much pointing to them going one-on-one at TakeOver New York.
Right.
And, I mean, if they will go one-on-one, Johnny has to beat him for the title.
Right.
And then what? Johnny's just traveling with NXT and the main roster? Or is he not doing live events?
Well,
he's just...
they've never really been clear as to if Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa have been officially placed on the main roster. These are just call-ups. These are just things that people that have just introduced. And I feel like, to be honest, they were kind of building the story that Johnny is only successful when he's next to Ciampa. I feel like that's the reason why they were on the main roster, was just for that storyline purpose, because that's what Ciampa came out and said. Gargano is only, successful with me by his side, and the fact that they won over the tag team champions on both brands, or former tag team champions, one former tag team champions, and another actual Raw tag team champions. So I feel like them being placed on the main roster, at least for those shows, as a tag team, only proved that, like, you're only successful with me by your side.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like, based on the spoilers of what happens in the...
which we're not going
to say, they can definitely find a way for this to work out. Like, Johnny winning the title at TakeOver New York. And I feel like, based off of what I'm not going to spoil anything, but based off of what he did to Ciampa in the spoilers, they could definitely find a way to make it seem like, Gargano, just took advantage of an opportunity, and now he's going to go into this multi-man match for the vacated NXT title.
Multi-man match? I didn't even think about that. That actually sounds like it would be like a fatal four-way.
Right.
Because it's been a minute since we've had like a multi-man
NXT match.
NXT title match.
Absolutely.
The last I can remember is that fatal four-way way back in the day with like Tyson Kidd and Tyler Breeze.
Yeah. I mean, they had the 6-man North American title match.
Yeah, but
that doesn't really count.
That doesn't count. So,
and I don't think they have any multi-man matches at least being built up for NXT TakeOver New York. So it would kind of work.
I thought it was going to be a fatal four-way for the title.
Which title?
For the women's title. Because assuming that, like, Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair kind of have unfinished business, then you have, like, the Sky Pirates. And I think Io Shirai. Did I just
Io Shirai? Yeah, that's her name.
No. I know that, but I feel like if I say this, I'm gonna. Never mind. I just feel like they're building up a fatal four-way for the women's championship.
Yeah.
But if they decide to move away from that and go with a one-on-one match, I would not mind like a fatal four-way elimination match.
That would be fire
for the NXT title with like Johnny Gargano.
Adam Cole, yes.
Maybe Keith Lee. Maybe. I don't know.
That would be fire. You know what?
And
they could do
Dominic.
Because Dominic and Keith have like
Okay.
Because Dominic and Keith have unfinished business. They could either be a one-on-one match, but I feel like would steal the show, or they could be part of that four-way. I could feel like it could be Cole and Gargano, and I feel like Gargano pinning Cole, I think, would be a fine way to kind of, Cole going out, because Undisputed is definitely going up to the main roster.
Do you really think? Because they just brought up 4 people.
They brought up 4 people, but they're not Undisputed Era. To me, when it comes down to bringing people up, I think WWE Creative is in a space where they just want to make things interesting. And I feel like Undisputed would do just that.
Yeah, but then you get to the point where you're like now completely gutting NXT, because EC3 has now been called up and is doing absolutely nothing.
Right.
Lacey Evans is doing a catwalk up and down the ramp. Otis and Tucker, and who else was called up? Somebody else was called. Oh,
Lars Sullivan. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as it pertains to, it could go either way. I'm just looking forward to it because NXT has proven before that they can take sugar honey iced tea and turn it into sugar.
True. And I feel like, at this point, what would be pretty cool is if they did, you could do either a one-on-one with Cole and Gargano, or you could do a fatal four-way, maybe have Gargano pin Cole, and then going into NXT TakeOver Toronto in August, you have Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano one-on-one for the NXT Championship, and maybe even have Adam Cole win.
That would be fire.
And
I'll be down for that.
You maybe have Roderick Strong, maybe in the summer, pin either Matt Riddle or pin Velveteen Dream
for the North American
title. And then who knows? You have Undisputed Era win
tag team
titles back.
And then they can have their evolution moment again.
Yeah, and then they have everybody with a championship.
That would be dope. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that. But I definitely feel like Velveteen needs a good reign.
Yeah, and I mean he just won it. So
yeah,
like,
they did. I think he's gonna have a good match against Matt Riddle. Hopefully, that happens. Now, we're gonna move from that into the card for this Sunday's Fastlane. We're on the road to WrestleMania. This is the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania 35, and this is actually the first time that I've been excited about Fastlane. Fairly excited. Interested in seeing a couple of these matches. So we're going to start from the pre-show match.
Yeah, and it's taking place from Cleveland,
Ohio.
The Quicken Loans Arena at Cleveland, Ohio. Shout out to Nora.
Whitney and Nora.
And Whitney. We just said that.
Just for y'all.
Out of order.
But yeah, it's okay.
Like Whitney, Nora, Whitney. Mad funny. You want to alternate? You do one, I do next one, you do one, I do
absolutely. So I'm going to start with the kickoff.
Okay.
Match. Rey Mysterio versus Andrade.
Cien Almas. That's his name.
Who do you think is going to take this match?
How many has Rey won?
I'm not sure. I do feel like I think it's been equal.
I feel like Andrade won by pinfall. Rey won by disqualification because Samoa Joe attacked Rey. I remember that.
So if this is the tiebreaker.
If this is the tiebreaker, I think Rey Mysterio wins.
But they're gonna have a fire match though. So I think I'm gonna go with Rey Mysterio as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely think Rey Mysterio as well. So that's that.
Moving on, we have the Raw Tag Team Championships. As the champions, the Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, defend their titles in a triple threat tag team match against the newly formed Aleister Black and Ricochet, who are in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic on NXT right now, and the former champions Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. I think the Revival retains. I think the Revival is talking about leaving the company. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like to keep them happy, they keep the titles on them.
Yeah.
At least through WrestleMania, and then once we get to the new season, once we get to the other side of WrestleMania and start pushing towards SummerSlam, I think that's when the Revival's championships will be kind of in a weird place.
Absolutely. I think that the Revival are going to retain as well. If there is any other team I could see winning, it's Aleister Black and Ricochet. And to be honest, I don't think they're going to put the titles on them as long as they're in the Dusty Tag Team Classic, considering that the Tag Team Classic is pre-taped, and it would just be weird.
Yeah, because then it would be like, oh yeah, the new Raw Tag Team champions
are in the Dusty Tag. But that would be interesting, though. That would be very, very interesting.
I mean, yeah, we had Johnny Gargano walking around with the North American title
on SmackDown
and Raw right up until the episode where he lost it. So, yeah.
And the next match is the Boston Hug Connection versus Nia Jax and Tamina. I think that Sasha and Bayley are going to retain.
I agree. I feel like they're not having Sasha Banks and Bayley walk out talking about we're the first ever WWE Women's Tag Team Champions in NXT shows and going to NXT live events, holding up the titles and teasing matches with people like Rhea Ripley and Reyna. What's her last name?
I don't even remember.
But Reyna something and the Sky Pirates and Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah, who I actually really like their gimmick. Their gimmick is kind of funny. They did like a backstage interview thingy.
Yeah.
During one of the, I don't remember, it was one of the shows, but it was really funny. Yeah, I think that this is the first time that Sasha Banks will finally retain a championship in the first defense.
Only took, what, 4 or 5 damn years?
And I'm 100% confident that they're gonna win. You know, they could pull a Vince McMahon and go, yeah, let's have Nia and Tamina win the titles for absolutely no reason. But I think Sasha Banks wins. I actually think Sasha Banks gets the pin.
Yeah. Sasha's going to get the pin.
I actually think Sasha gets the tap out or the pin. And
I feel like it's going to be on Tamina, though. It's going to be like Tamina's going to get pinned or... Yes. And the reason why is because they just always want to keep Nia strong. And Tamina beat Sasha.
That's true.
On Raw.
But I mean, you can't say, oh, well, let's keep Nia strong, and I don't know, Alexa Bliss beat Nia Jax. Sasha Banks beat Nia Jax like 5 times at this point.
That's
like, why
true.
is it ever in doubt?
Very true.
Whenever they're in the ring together, I'm just like, okay, Sasha Banks is gonna win.
All right.
Next match.
Let's move on to the next match.
SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Usos defend their newly won tag team titles against The Miz and Shane McMahon. Who do you have and why?
Usos, I feel like... I hope this match comes to pass where it's the Usos versus the Hardys at Mania. Because, that would blow the roof off. But I do think that the Usos are going to retain. I also feel that...
That promo on SmackDown was funny.
Yeah, it was. And I also feel like The Miz is going to get turned on by Shane McMahon. I feel like we're going to see a Shane McMahon heel turn finally.
Really?
Yes. Hometown of Cleveland. They're so close to winning the tag titles, and Shane just beats the living life out of. First of all, that's a perfect heel turn.
That's true.
To violate somebody in their hometown.
But at the same time, I don't want to see Shane McMahon wrestle. Like, he's not.
I like watching Shane McMahon in the ring, for one.
He's not that good.
I also think that that's going to be a match that elevates Miz at Mania. In the context of in comparison to his other Mania matches.
Yeah, I'm just like, I mean, he was already in the main event of WrestleMania before.
Very true, but I feel like this would catapult him back into the main event.
I'm gonna go with the Usos as well. Yeah. But I actually think that if Shane turns, it'd be very interesting. I'm sticking with the Usos, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if the Miz turned. Basically, kind of, or you have like Mr. Miz give Shane a low blow, and then you have, because I mean, the Miz is a heel.
He is, but I feel like face Miz. We haven't seen face Miz blossom. I also feel like
babyface Miz sucks.
But this babyface Miz is great. A-lister babyface Miz is great. Because you think about it, if he turns heel, he's gonna get cheered regardless. He's gonna get cheered if he becomes a babyface or a heel. So he might as well be cheered as a legitimate babyface. It's almost similar to The Rock in the sense that like when he was like super cocky, he was still super over. Yeah. And people cheered him anyway, and it was just like, all right, for all this, just might as well just turn him heel.
My only thing is, the Miz. I mean, here's my thing. If they turn the Miz and the Miz keeps this, we keep this Miz babyface, but as a babyface, I'm fine with it.
I think that's what they're going to do.
Like, if they were to turn Alexa Bliss babyface, but they kept this version of Alexa Bliss, but all she did was turn her from antagonizing the babyfaces to antagonizing the heels. I would love it. Right. I actually like Alexa Bliss. I think she's like really funny.
Legit. Like she really is funny.
Her facial expressions are great. But I don't want to, go on about somebody who's not in the match. So who's next?
The next match is for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Asuka versus Mandy Rose. Before I give my prediction on this match, I do want to say that I have been impressed with Mandy Rose's character. And that I've been impressed with her ring work.
Since she's come up, she's like improving every day I see her.
Absolutely. So for those out there who are saying that they don't want Mandy in the spotlight, I feel like Mandy deserves to be in the spotlight.
Yeah, and she deserves to have a longer match with Naomi.
Absolutely.
That was just like 2013 Divas
cut
BS.
Match from WrestleMania.
It was literal 2012, 2011 Divas BS. Yeah, go out there and go home. I love seeing Mandy as a heel. She's dope. She's believable. I like her in-ring work. She's solid. And I feel like Asuka and Mandy are going to have a surprisingly, and I say surprisingly in the context of what everybody thinks about her. I think that she's really good. So I think that she can have a good match with Asuka. But I think that Asuka's going to return. Yeah, me too. Like, I mean, there is a little bit of doubt because it's just like, Asuka has not been on television. Like, she's gotten like 3 episodes of TV since the Royal Rumble.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, like, you could have her cut a backstage promo. You can have her do something.
Right.
But they just haven't had Asuka do anything.
But I think what's the most disappointing part about Asuka, I mean, the reports have come out in the past that they don't push Asuka the way that she should be pushed because she can't speak English or whatever the case may be.
Fair.
And to me, that's not even fair. But 2, if you really invested in Asuka, like you're telling me that Asuka was in NXT for how long, which is on the campus of Full Sail University, you couldn't find one professor to tutor her. You couldn't find one teacher to kind of help her in and help her to learn enough English so that she can develop a promo. My whole thing is that there are people that, I feel like you have the responsibility to put yourself over. And I feel like Asuka's been able to put herself over without doing these magnanimous English-based promos. But it's just like, if that's the problem, then make the investment. If you really care about Asuka, make the investment, or anybody for that matter, make the investment.
The thing is, like, these superstars shouldn't have to cut these long 15-minute scripted promos.
Also, promos aren't for everybody.
True, but this is an entertainment business, and when you learn how to wrestle, you learn how to cut a promo.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like you should have that skill in your arsenal. I'm just saying that every character doesn't necessarily need to cut a promo. Like if Asuka just came up as a silent, just solid, just like badass, I think that would have been perfect for her. Like, where you don't hear her, you just don't see her coming, and she just starts volleying everybody. Because that worked for her in NXT.
Asuka got herself over by dancing and saying no one is ready for Asuka. Literally. And she was undefeated through her entire NXT
career. Right.
And all she did was dance at her enemies and say nobody is ready for Asuka. Like, that's literally all she did.
Right.
And, like you said, everybody doesn't need to know how to cut a promo. Well, okay.
Everybody should have the skill.
That's not what you said. What you said was, I definitely butchered that. Every character doesn't need to cut a promo.
Right.
But everyone needs to know how to cut a promo.
Right.
Wrestling 101, like, when you come in, the first couple weeks, you're going to learn how to, I learned like this much about how to, cut a promo. And now I'm a drama kid, so I know, like, it's easy for me to monologues pop into my head in 2.5. It's easy for me to cut a promo.
Right.
But that's when you invest in yourself and hire an acting coach, hire somebody who helps you get across certain emotions and stuff like that.
Right.
Some people just can't. I just don't feel some things for some people when they come out and cut these long, boring 15-minute promos at the start of Raw or at the beginning of SmackDown. I'm just like, I'm like, do something different. Like, amuse me.
Right.
Be entertained.
Are you not entertained?
With that being said, though, I do think Asuka is going to retain.
Right.
Because there's no reason why she would lose the title.
Before Mania.
Right before WrestleMania. I mean, if you want to have her lose it, I guess you could have her lose it at WrestleMania, but then to who? That's why I feel like Asuka's probably going to retain it for the next few months. Because there's nobody really on her level right now.
Absolutely. And I feel like they're going to, as far as carrying the SmackDown Women's Division, I feel like Asuka's that person.
And then once they do the Superstar Shakeup in April, you get some girls from NXT up there. You also get some swaps from Raw. Maybe you move Sasha and Bayley over to SmackDown.
Well, Sasha and Bayley, they're not on a brand, technically.
They're technically a part of Raw, but as champions, they're floating champions.
Right.
So, like, if they were to lose the belts on
They would belong to somebody's roster.
Yeah, if they were to lose the belts on Sunday, which they're not, Vince, they would lose. They would go back to Raw.
Right.
So I feel like they would go on the SmackDown roster. But what's next?
On to the next match.
You want to do this one?
I'll do it. The Shield versus Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, and Bobby Lashley.
Do the next two.
I'm gonna go with the Shield. I mean, for starters, everybody's been giving this whole flack about like, why is the Shield reuniting? Here's my theory. If Dean is in fact leaving the WWE, I feel like the Shield is the best way to send them off. You don't want him just losing every match and just jobbing to random people, and you don't give him his moment, considering the fact that he's been putting in consistent work for the past, 7, 8 years? 8 years approaching. Obviously, I feel like the Shield reunion happens too many times, especially for a faction that's only 8 years old. And I feel like this is the third or the fourth time
that they're 6 years old, because they debuted in 2012.
2011. TLC 2011. They had their debut.
No, it was 2012.
Check it. But I think they debuted in 2011 though, because it was around the time of. I think it was 2012 as well, because it was TLC 2012. But
yep. Oh no, Survivor Series 2012.
Yeah.
That's when they actually came out,
right.
And their debut match was TLC 2012. Because it was Ryback and CM Punk, their little thingy in 2012.
Right. So 7 years, approaching 7 years. But I do believe that they do need to owe Dean his moment, considering the work that he's put in. I don't think that it's the last time. I feel like somewhere down the line they're going to click back up. But if they don't, Shield, I feel like they're going to win regardless. I just hope that this leads to somewhere for Bobby Lashley and somewhere for... I want it to lead somewhere for Drew McIntyre, because Drew is a star.
I'm so bored
with the 6-man tags.
The 6-man tags with the three amigos or Baron Corbin's
whomever, because it's so interchangeable. And I feel like if you're at least gonna put a faction against the Shield, can we give them a name? Can we give them some merch? Can we make them seem like a plausible threat?
Don't give them a name, merch, nothing. They're boring. Drew McIntyre has been just yoked to a tag team, or has been yoked to a faction since he got here.
It's always either him and Dolph, or him, Dolph and Baron, or him, Dolph and
Dolph and Braun Strowman.
I would love for the Drew to just turn on Baron and Bobby and just be like, yo.
Move him to SmackDown, maybe. Give him a fresh start.
Yes.
Give him a chase for the WWE title. Give him the WWE title. That would be dope. But if you want to keep Baron on Raw, keep him on Raw, whatever. Just lessen his Raw time, because Lord Jesus, I'm pretty sure he's a great person. I just, he just does nothing for me.
So you're going with Shield on this one?
It's pretty obvious.
All right.
If it wasn't, so
go to the next match.
Anyway, the next match. This was originally for the Raw Women's Championship, until Ronda Rousey came out and said she doesn't care anymore and beat the hell out of everyone. So now this is Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. If Becky Lynch happens to beat Charlotte Flair, she gets re-added to the match that she already won in January.
And Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I know. Logic in WWE. Becky. No correlation.
Becky.
Yeah, it's a triple threat.
Right.
If they were to, at this point, hit Becky, have Charlotte pin Becky, then how would they get Becky back in that match? Unless Becky came in and just put Vince in an armbar and go, "You're gonna put me in that match."
Right.
Honestly, it has to be Becky.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had Charlotte win just for the heat. That would be hilarious. But if you were gonna have Becky win, then don't you have Charlotte beat her up on Tuesday? Because Tuesday, right. Charlotte cut this promo and Becky came out and Charlotte initiated the attack and still got beat up.
Or what we can see is a no contest, and Ronda comes in and attacks both of them.
It's been done already, though.
Yeah, but it can happen again, considering the whole thing is I don't care about the WWE Universe, and Becky and Charlotte is a good match.
Yeah.
Her coming in and breaking up the match would give more heat onto Ronda, and then give Stephanie a reason to be like, you know what, you're going to be facing both of them at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship. I also want. Well, I'm gonna say I think Becky's gonna win as well.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that first off, I'm hearing things. Don't know if it's true or not. That Paul Heyman is definitely involved in the storyline, and if he is, he's doing a damn good job. I honestly, for starters, everybody.
Okay. Not like.
I think that it's for starters, it's the most interesting storyline in WWE right now, besides Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, you're right.
So
there's just certain creative decisions that I wish would have been different. But
right.
I mean, I don't work for WWE.
But Paul Heyman, I mean, like, for starters, what Ronda did in her YouTube channel, I felt like that was dope. It's believable. And it incited a response. Either you hate her more or you love her more, and that's the purpose of that type of stuff.
Bruh. Like, there's people, like, literally losing their minds on Twitter.
Literally.
Like, you don't respect this business. It's a work.
It's a work.
Dude.
And
like,
Ronda's getting, and like, that's the thing. It's funny because everybody's like, Ronda can't cut a promo. I don't think that she's as developed as everybody would like her to, but let's just wrap our minds around the fact that she debuted last WrestleMania.
That's true.
It's last WrestleMania, and she's generating this type of response. Is she cutting a beginning, middle, and end promo similar to Charlotte or Becky Lynch? Nah. She didn't go through NXT. She's not a homegrown NXT talent. She came from the UFC, said that this is something that she wanted to do, and she just had to learn along the way because WWE put her in a spot where she was catapulted to the main event. And I don't think that's a wrong thing because she's profitable and she's money. And to be honest, she's put on good matches. Yeah. I don't think that her mic skills are where everybody wants them to be, but forget everybody else. Ronda's inciting the response, and I think that that's the heart of creating a good promo and creating a good storyline is getting a response.
Yeah. Do I love what Ronda said? As a fan and as a person who will eventually be a part of the wrestling business, I don't love what she said. Because I'm just like, bruh, like, we know it's fake,
right?
But for you to go, well, okay, let me totally, like, take that backwards a little bit. We know it's a script. We know the wins are predetermined,
right?
But I'm just like, bro, the bruises you got from Charlotte, they're not fake.
They're not fake, but I feel like that's something determined by. I feel like all of them were all in on the idea of like making things more physical. Because they want real bruises. They want real stitches.
Right. But my thing is, we get that it's a script.
Right.
We get it. But you can still be Ronda Rousey. I don't give a F about nobody. What nobody got to say about me. I'm going to be whoever I'm going to be, and that's it. Because I really want to say some stuff, but people watch the show, and I can't really say that.
Yeah, you can't really go off.
I can't really go off like I want to. But, Ronda can still be the baddest woman on the planet and not cross the line and break the fourth wall.
Right.
Like, I'm just like, okay, but I don't love it.
Right.
But I'm not angry about it. Like,
right.
There's a lot of people who are just angry about it. I'm not angry about it. I just don't love it.
Right.
And I feel like it could have been done better. But the final match, which I don't think is going to be the main event. I actually think that the women are going to main event. But the final match is the WWE Championship match. Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens.
First of all, let me say that Daniel Bryan cut a hell of a promo online. Yeah, he did there was an online extra that he put up.
Okay.
Where he was like Superstar A and Superstar B. Okay. And it gave me chills. And I think Daniel Bryan, that only kind of reconfirmed my belief that Daniel Bryan is probably one of the most interesting WWE champions that we've had. And he has a freaking hemp belt. Yeah, he has a he has a hemp belt rolling by his side, and he's a believable heel. And the funny part about it is that his heel character is very, very true to himself.
To who he is.
To who he is in real life.
And you can tell that he's just being himself.
Exactly. This is another extension of himself. Like, I feel like the Yes Movement and fighting for your dreams was an extension of himself, but I also feel like this is also another extension of himself, which makes this all the better. KO is a babyface. I'm glad that he's a babyface.
I agree.
Because he's done so much as a heel that it's time for him to be a funny, dope, good guy. And I'm just glad that he's in the space that he's in. I feel like this is going to be a great match. A good 20, 25 minute match where they're just going at it because these are Ring of Honor guys. So I know they're going to put on a good match. And I think KO is definitely going to show out considering that it's been months.
Yeah. I think Daniel Bryan's retaining.
Daniel Bryan is definitely retaining.
It's weird because you don't really want Daniel Bryan to you don't want Kevin Owens to lose in his re-debut, I guess you can say.
He had a tag team match where he scored a pinfall over Daniel Bryan, though.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So he has a victory over the WWE champion.
So, okay. Because it would be different if it was like he just came back and we're gonna just pin him. But okay, that makes sense. All right then, yeah. So I'm cool with that. So I'm cool with maybe Rowan interfering and then Bryan hits him with a high knee and just pins him.
Right.
I don't know if I'll be cool with tapping him out.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get tapped out.
But yeah, I'm definitely cool with Bryan winning on Sunday. So let us know what your predictions are in the comments below.
Yes.
It's gonna be I feel like it's gonna be a
good Fastlane.
A good show. It's a pretty good card. Really, if this was a bad show, it would everybody would actively have to work toward it being just a bad show.
Right.
But I mean, Royal Rumble was good. First pay-per-view of the year, even though it was so long.
It was long.
The Royal Rumble was good. Elimination Chamber was okay.
With great moments.
It was good moments and not great matches. This is the third pay-per-view of the year. Do you think there are too many pay-per-views in between Rumble and Mania?
No, not really, because this has always been like this. It's always been like this. Because
it's never been two. It's always been before they reintroduced the brand split, it was one.
It was one, but then there was a time where there were two pre-Royal Rumble. There was two pre-WrestleMania pay-per-views.
Yeah, and Rumble and
No. It was Rumble. I'm talking about back in the day. Rumble, No Way Out, and there was something else, I think. But okay. I don't think there's too much. I don't think it's too many shows.
I do.
But even if it was too many shows, I feel like some of them are necessary because, to build tension. If it's done correctly, you can use it to build tension.
Elimination Chamber is necessary. Fastlane to me is not a necessary pay-per-view because if you really think about it, you have Royal Rumble, you can put Elimination Chamber the end of February, and then you have all of March to use the TV to build to your WrestleMania matches.
Very true.
Which just makes more sense to me. I just feel like there's too many. I feel
like there's. I could actually agree with you on that because I feel like there is.
It's literally Rumble 3 weeks, Elimination Chamber 3 weeks, Fastlane 3 weeks, WrestleMania. So it's just there's no time to.
Everything goes really fast.
Stories,
absolutely.
But let us know what your predictions are in the comments. I know I'm super hyped for this show. I will not be watching it live. I'll actually be watching it after the feed.
Same. Because I have work.
But this time we won't be at Legends this Sunday.
But if you're available, you should go.
You should definitely go.
And shout out to the Job Creators podcast.
Yes, they're amazing. Dope. But yeah, I think
that's our show for today.
That's all.
Thank you guys so much for watching. And we hope to see you next week where we will be reacting to Fastlane. So
yeah, and we're still on the road to WrestleMania.
We are still on the road to WrestleMania. So tune in next week.